how about just like living happy and healthy? Can't that be the dream? Like, and that be just enough? And that really was what Peloton kind of pushed me through. Like, as far as I was told this, and I knew that this was the truth, but something about these instructors, that's how they influenced me, that they let me know that I'm enough, that I don't need those labels, and that just like being the healthiest self and like waking up every day and like taking on the fitness challenge and physically moving your body and getting out of your head a little bit, that's like what life's about. So I think Peloton, that's what it taught me. And I any of those instructors, any of them, like even the ones that I don't typically take, I know for a fact that they would say, you're doing good. Like you're complete exactly as you are.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the clip out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 223. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. I guess we should start by saying thanks to everybody that dropped by our Zoom call on Saturday.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. We had some really fun Peloton conversations, some fun non-Peloton conversations. We got deep. It was great. I love those combos.
Yeah, those are always fun. It's nice to just kind of hang.
Yeah. Plus, the audience kind of turned into our own personal little, what do you call it whenever you try ideas on them?
Focus group?
Yeah. We had an impromptu focus group conversation, which was super fascinating. And anybody in our actual Clip Out group will be hearing more about that soon. But yeah, it was super cool. So if you guys ever get a chance and we're having one, make sure you drop by because they're tons of fun.
Absolutely. So that's just another reason to join the group, right? That's where we tend to post that stuff. So yes, we get your little special link. So, but I don't want to get ahead of myself and shamelessly plug before you tell people what's coming up on the show this week.
Well, let's see. We've got stock issues to discuss, and we'll do that with John Mills. And also we have Dr. Jenn drop by, and she's going to discuss perimenopause. So for all you guys who don't care about perimenopause, you just fast forward through that. And all you women who do, you might want to listen up.
Well, for some of the men, I would say you still might want to listen in case you have a woman in your life who is staring down the barrel of that.
Yeah, because specifically it's about workouts during perimenopause. So like we don't get deep or like too into discussion that you're not going to want to hear. And let's see, we also have MetPro dropping by, and we talk all about carb loading for a triathlon when you have a special diet that you need to take into consideration. And then we're also going to talk about tons of different like rumors that are swirling around Peloton. The instructors are in the news galore.
Yeah, they are.
And so we're going to touch on all of the Peloton things.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, TuneIn. Wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Also, if you want to leave a review, that's always helpful. We have a new review.
Oh.
This is from Felicia J.A.
Oh, okay.
And it says, I love Fridays. Who doesn't love Fridays? Add a new Clip Out episode to my morning Friday commute, and it sets the tone for my day.
Aww.
This is the only podcast I come back to week after week. Keep being awesome. And the leaderboard name is Balanced Fee RN.
Oh, well.
So thank you.
Thank you so much. What a really, really nice review. Yeah. Thank you.
And also, we have our Facebook page, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page and join the group where you will get things like a link to our Zoom calls if you just want to hang out with us on a Saturday night sometimes. And you can sign up for our newsletter where every week we send the links to articles and pictures and things of that nature all in one easily digestible format in case you couldn't find them on our page or out in the wild. And you can do that at theclipout.com. And of course, if you want to watch these episodes, they all live over at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/theclipout. And they're all over there for you to to watch. You can watch them on your big screen if you're that much of a masochist.
Oh, yeah, that's scary.
And finally, if you want something to do that's real easy to help the show, just share it on social media. If you love Peloton, you probably have people in your life who love Peloton. They might like to know about it. So just click share, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or what have you, and let them know that we're out there. We would greatly appreciate that. So that's all of that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is John Mills from Run, Lift, and Live. Hey, John, how's it going?
I was about to go, hi. How's that going?
There we go.
How's it going?
Crystal did that to him before we started taping, so now he was all self-conscious.
We've been giggling since.
He was like, well, now I don't want to do it.
Hi.
You're all straight face. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
I almost did it.
He's like, good morrow to you.
Okay, well, let's dig into this.
Yeah. I guess let's start with, just all the stock stuff and how analysts are starting to kind of, I don't know, what's the stocky, fancy way to say take a dump on Peloton stock? There we go.
Well, you know it was coming, right?
Right.
The script was written for them to sell a story. And we kind of talked about that last week. And, Motley Fool is good with finding those narratives. So
Yeah.
I feel like Motley Fool is like like one of those fake psychics that they just keep saying things until you nod.
Yeah.
And then they're like,
I knew it.
I got it right. I'm picking somebody in your life. Their name starts with a J or a K or an L, an M, an M. Okay. It's Margaret.
Has something to do with your family?
Michael.
No, not your family. Your friends? No,
Yeah.
no. A long lost lover?
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if their stuff is really,
I mean, it is right there in the
predictive.
title, The Motley Fool.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you're a fool if you follow us. I feel like they're telling you that.
Yeah, I've never paid attention to them until we started doing this. And
Same.
I feel like there's always two articles on Peloton. There's a good one and a bad one. And then in 5 years, they can go see how right we were.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because they're saying that there's many reasons to avoid Peloton stock. So for people who haven't seen this article, that's the gist. And they're saying, well, because, they had a bad earnings call and because they're the pandemic and then, accounting problems. Really? It's not accounting problems. There was a treadmill recall. Like, what is this accounting problems? Like, they make it sound like that somebody's in trouble for embezzlement or something. Like, why are they even using that phrase? What is that about? Like, seriously.
Well, actually on the earnings call, Jill Woodworth referenced an accounting error, which they weren't going to go back and change any of the previously reported earnings, but she referenced it. So that reference is what they're talking about. And so then, of course, they explode that out.
Oh, my God.
What big company that knows what they're doing would then have this issue? Like they're like exploding that into something much larger than it really is. But, I think it was to be expected. I actually wasn't surprised at all. And then they went back in time. They pulled a Back to the Future on us. They went back to, and the pandemic's going to be ended in a second. And then what? I mean, we've been hearing that for how long?
Yeah.
We have. I mean, at least 8 months. And, the pandemic is still with us, folks, in case you haven't been paying attention.
And it's not like Peloton did a marketing campaign where they're like, and you can return your bike when the pandemic is over. Like, that's not... They're still going to have a bike, and they're still going to have a monthly subscription, and maybe they won't sell as many, but...
Yeah, I definitely think the pandemic fast-forwarded their
absolutely.
growth, but, it fast-forwarded their growth. It doesn't change anything about the base that is Peloton.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right. And then, of course, we're going into, we're kind of in the slow season, and busy season will start in October. And so, it's a perfect kind of swell, like a perfect time to go see, and the numbers aren't looking, it's just a perfect thing.
I can't wait till October
You could have taken this article And it sounds just like an article they probably wrote in September of last year. Like,
yeah.
It really is.
And then it's going to be in October, they're going to be like, oh my God, Peloton is doing so well. You guys should totally buy the stock.
They're back.
They've overcome all of their obstacles this year. They're amazing. 2 days later,
You're
no,
gonna
they're
be like,
not.
Who knew?
Yeah.
How could we know?
You know?
And then on the heels of that, Yahoo had an article about an analyst slashing their target price on Peloton to $45 a share.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to talk about this because it's ridiculous. Like, really? $45 a share? Come on. I
mean, he went a little extreme.
A little?
Somebody just wanted to see their name on Yahoo News.
Yeah.
$1 a share. There.
They
Will you write about
suck.
me now?
Yeah. And a brutal quarter. Guys, they're still making billions of dollars. Like, what? You know how, like, therapists will say, like, it's what catastrophic language?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. These analysts are like the queens of catastrophic language. A brutal quarter. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but Peloton's still doing better than most other businesses out there. So I think this is a bit extreme.
The headline is of course, the clickbait. But
yeah.
But in listening to the reasoning behind it, that's where I feel like it's so black and white. It's like they're not more broadly kind of considering things.
No.
So I mean, in my mind, and they're going back to this: is it offensive or defensive stance? They're back into that in this as well. They're heavy on. This is defensive. There's competitors. They got to do something.
Maybe these people work for Echelon or something.
Right? And then they're having with this kind of movement of selling the bike for a lower price. I mean, big percentage of their revenue came from bike sales. So that's going to be a problem. Like, it feels like they're not even thinking about the fact that ultimately you're trying to get that subscription revenue. So I don't know if that's a bad thing that you're changing that ratio. And we got other products coming. So, I mean, that's the unknown. That's the piece that, we don't know, but I'm sure Peloton is well aware of, their expectations around who and how many units they're expecting to sell of whatever is coming. And I think there's a piece there that's kind of missing in all of these articles.
Yeah, because if I remember from reading this correctly, which granted it irritated me, so I kind of moved through it pretty quickly. But it was something to the effect of like, well, they're I'm saying $45 a month because their subscription fee is $40, and they just cut the bike price down by $400, and there was all this runway, so that was way too soon. They shouldn't have done that, so we're just going to value it at just slightly above their revenue for how much they make in a given month off of one person, which I don't understand what that has to do with anything, because they're going to continue to have that revenue coming in of $40 a month, and who knows, it might go up whenever they add some of these other products in. But I don't know, it just felt very short-sighted. It felt very, I don't know, I just want to have attention. It just felt like
arbitrary.
let me have a really big reaction so people pay attention to me.
Yeah, and that's my piece of it. It's like I kind of see these analysts, or I kind of assume they're supposed to be predictive of the market from a forward-looking perspective. And the way it's clear that these kind of just generate, I guess, clicks, because that's not a kind of a forward-looking. The statements they're making don't consider some of the things coming down the pike. The fact that we're about to go into the holiday season, what's going on in the news? I mean, it doesn't seem like they're adding that to the equation.
I agree,
but
and I know
it was coming.
We did, and I know that there's other analysts out there that don't agree with what's happening, and there's positive articles out there. I mentioned these because they were both pretty
inflammatory.
Yes, that's a great word. That's a great word. But they're unfortunately they're out there, and unfortunately people who don't know much about the stock market are looking at those and making decisions about whether or not they want to invest in Peloton. And I just feel like I hope they read some other articles, because to get a well-balanced idea of what's actually happening, those are the worst that you can read.
I probably look crazy in my group because I'm like, look at this. What do you guys think of this? When all the time I'm going, this is nuts. Right? And then people are like, John, you're crazy. I'm like, I didn't say I agreed with it.
You're like, I'm just the messenger.
Yeah. I think it leads to great conversation. So keep doing what you're doing.
And then you found an interesting article about wearable fitness trackers and the explosive growth that they are anticipating in that space.
Yes, this research outlet, they're a fitness research outlet, and they ran a report on the expectations around wearable fitness trackers and growth over the next 6 years. And they're expecting it to like triple. And based on their research, they're seeing kind of leading that, or the categories being running and cycling. And in reading it and kind of looking at the graphics that they were presenting, it just came to my mind like, well, okay, if that's generally the categories where someone would wear a wearable, and if we have it seems like we've got some insight around Peloton potentially releasing some type of wearable.
That's what we've been told.
Then wouldn't it make most sense to drop that wearable when you're producing more running type content? I
think that I got your point, and I think that if everything had gone the way that we planned without the pandemic, and I say we, like the whole world, then if you back up, right, then the tread actually would have gone on sale in America back in May. Right? Okay, so then that didn't happen. But if it had, right, the wearable wouldn't have been ready to put out in the market yet. And so now here we are knowing that the Tiger device is coming out in the fall. And so now it ends up being a lot closer to the tread, but that wasn't the original plan. So I think you have to go back and look at what the original plan was. Also, I have no idea what this is going to be priced at, but I'm picturing this Tiger device as being kind of like an add-on, a less expensive kind of thing. And I think that it's going to be easier to bundle it with a wearable at that point. Yeah, because
that makes sense.
Yeah. And also, I know there's a lot of speculation around what this wearable is going to do, but I think, this is just my own opinion, that it's going to be more of a bare bones thing. This is going to be for the people who don't have an Apple Watch. This is going to be for the people who don't have a Garmin. And maybe they don't even have a Fitbit. This is something they want to track on all of their sports. They want to be able to put it on when they're working out. Maybe they wear it during the day. Maybe they don't. But it's specifically for working out, and they want it to work across all modalities. And so I think that this wearable is going to be for that person. And so because of that, I think it does make sense to put it out with the Tiger, because then it's like, okay, well, now you have these other things you're going to be able to do that you're kind of being pulled into. So this might be a good time to add on to your fitness.
That makes sense. And if that's the case, it probably doesn't have to tie so well. But I hope that they have a broader vision for this. Because if you're looking at this report, if it has any credibility or credence, I don't know. But if it does, and if this market is truly going to triple in the next 5 to 6 years, if they put out a product that actually competes in this space, then they can get a slice of that. Like, so I hope they're, even if it starts the way you're describing, you
hope there's a long-term plan.
Yeah, I think that there would be a market for that. Like, I think the people that have their Apple Watch, probably not. It's all one ecosystem there, and they're good. But like, I could see people with Fitbits or Garmin's making the jump.
I mean, honestly, even you, Tom, like, if not that you do Peloton, but I could see you being the kind of person that would buy this thing that I'm envisioning, because you don't want to wear a watch all the time. But
I hate to wear watches.
But you would like to track what your heart rate is and to be able to see it. So if you were doing Peloton, I could see you being like, okay, yeah, you got me. I'll wear the thing when I'm working out and not the rest of the time.
Especially if it's less expensive, and maybe they come out with 2 tiers.
I mean, I don't know if they're going to continue to do their better best. That certainly makes sense, and I think John, there is a place for what you're saying. I think as a consumer, as a future investor, I'm like, y'all better not piss off Apple too much. Like, I think you need to tread carefully, because really, Peloton can't do everything the best. Like, I love Peloton. I think everyone knows how much I love Peloton, but they cannot be the king of every single area. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So to me, I want them to take a step in, and I want them to just take a step. I don't want them to just dive all the way in. But
that would align with historically kind of how they've moved in this space. So it makes sense, everything you're saying. When I posted this, I was literally like thinking it out. Well, I hadn't pre-thought what I was really thinking it out as I was writing it.
Yeah.
So, and I was answering my questions and then asking the next question based on an assumed answer to the first question. So it was like really crazy. So, first I was just like, wait a minute. If running is big and they got a tread, why don't they drop this?
Yeah,
I
think
it's it with a strength product.
But
and
it's a good question. It's a good question to ask, because you do have to go back in time and look at everything. And we have the benefit of doing this podcast every week, and we sit down and we talk through this. But there's a lot of people that ask these questions that don't look at it from that perspective. They're just looking at it like, oh, I'm picking up a Peloton thought process today, and they only think about today. So I think it's good that you're asking these questions, and I think it's good that we talk through it. Somebody else asked me a question today, and I feel like it's kind of along those same lines about needing the long-term. You need to look at the long-term effect of Peloton to really get why he was asking. But he was asking me, do you think that they are going to take the bike trade-in program and also apply it to Europe? And I was like, I don't think that they will. I don't think that they will, because people in America have had their bikes some as far back as 2014. And so that's the trade-in program. That's who we're talking to. You guys just got yours like a year and a half ago. So settle down, Not that he was at all. Yeah. Not that he was like snotty about it at all, but I'm just joking. But in all seriousness, it would not make sense for Peloton in my mind to offer that. But like, from Europe's standpoint, without really thinking that through, if you're a person in Europe that bought your bike, you are like, wait a minute, why aren't we getting that program? Because you haven't really thought through the past of Peloton, because you don't do this podcast every week. So why would you? Because we're big nerds here.
We are.
So as it relates to the tracker thing, I was just like spinning.
Yeah.
So then I get to the second question, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute. We kind of already got insight that these strength or computer vision based product and the tracker will likely drop around a common time. So I'm talking through this running thing, but wait a minute. Does this mean all of them are about to drop like in about 10 minutes? Right. So then I come to that place, right, and then I start thinking, well, wait a minute. Beachbody's about to drop this Minx bike with the Body Interactive on September 21st. And so I just jumped to a whole nother topic. Then I'm like, is this defensive?
No.
Is this defensive?
No, because we know for months.
I pose these questions all in that order. Like, I look like a straight psychopath in these questions.
You did make some jumps.
Crazy. I would say that, like, I don't think the creation of the product is defensive, but perhaps the timing of the announcement is.
Oh, that could be.
Why not? Like, oh, you're going to announce that? Well, we'll drop our thing on top of you. And now who's going to talk about you?
Yeah, which actually might actually be offensive. But exactly. Yeah, and that came to mind at the end of it. I came to this conclusion in answering all my prior questions while writing it, that the stuff is about to drop in 10 minutes. And if it does, what does that mean for Body Interactive? Like, that's what I came to. Anyway, I think I took it way too far.
No, I don't necessarily
think so.
You did. I think, them using their muscle to kind of suck up all the oxygen in the market from a promotional standpoint is not a bad play.
Didn't they do that? Didn't they do that whenever Apple did their big Apple Fitness Plus release? Wasn't it like on the same day or the day before?
They were real close together. I'm not sure who stepped on who, but like it was definitely like they were in quick succession.
Yeah.
And then they hosted that quick call on the same day.
They were trying to pull attention away.
Yeah.
And you know what, John, regardless of whether or not you're right about any of this or anything else, I think that you're starting to think like these analysts, because I think
ain't good. That right there, that is fighting words.
Peloton will be at $2 a share.
But hear me out. I think that the analysts will be saying that it's a defensive move, not offensive. Yeah. And I think that they will be very suspicious whenever Peloton drops their wearable, even though we've been talking about it for months, because they don't pay attention to this podcast. So I think that you are starting. I think you're giving them ideas. So
you know what? If you're right, if they drop this anytime in the vicinity of September 21st, yeah, we're going to hear all of that. There's going to be all these analysts talking about this defensive stuff. You're right.
So
maybe I am thinking like an analyst now. This ain't good. I need to go drink some sweet tea.
He's insulted.
Lay down or something.
Or you should go write for, I don't know, Yahoo Finance or something like that and make some cash off of it.
I should be a ghostwriter for Motley Fool or something.
No.
Awesome. Well, assuming you're still here next week and not working for Yahoo Finance, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook in my Run, Lift, and Live group or page. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live, or at runliftandlive.com.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Cool. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
The Clip Out.
You know, if you're looking to add something different to your cardio routine and you've ever wanted to learn how to box or kickbox from real fighters, you should think about FightCamp.
You should, because FightCamp brings the boxing and kickboxing gym right to your home with full body workouts that you'll actually look forward to and a free standing punching bag that can take your hardest hits.
FightCamp is made for beginners all the way up to experienced boxers who want to box from home, with several different paths that you can follow that teach you the skills along the way, paired with workouts to reinforce your new learnings.
It comes with all the gear you need to box at home, and it's great for kids. FightCamp is one of the only home workouts that are safe for kids to do because there's no heavy weights and no spinning wheels. And as soon as most people get their FightCamp bag, the kids are always the first to walk up and want to try it.
FightCamp uses new tech that tracks each punch you throw to measure speed, volume, and output so you can follow your progress.
You can pay for your FightCamp over 24 months for less than the cost of a boxing gym and get it right away. Plus, FightCamp offers free shipping with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just go to joinfightcamp.com/clip.
That's joinfightcamp.com/clip.
To get free shipping on FightCamp, just go to joinfightcamp.com/clip.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
So joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. She was also a 5-year national team member in rhythmic gymnastics, and she also has an app called No More Diets you should check out. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dr. Jenn. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
I have another fun question for you from our community. I don't know what you'll think of this one. Okay, this is from Erica Dunmeyer. The perimenopause is real, and it's as awful as it sounds. I agree with her. As we get older, men and women, our metabolism and hormones take on minds of their own. So how can we adjust our workouts to help with the biological chaos that is happening? Mood swings, stubborn belly fat, weight gain, and other fun physical side effects, just to name a few. It's like being a moody teenager all over again, minus the acne. I still have the acne.
Me too. And does she say in this how often she's working out or anything that she's doing right now?
No, but I know Erica Dunmeyer does work out a lot because she's a regular. So.
And look, I would definitely say, obviously, you want to always check with your doctor and see what they recommend. And you also want to look at what helps your mood the most, because it sounds like the weight and the mood were the two things that jumped out at me the most that are impacting you. And so what you want to really do is look at what are the workouts that give you the most joy? What are the ones that change your mood the most? I know the other day at my house, one of my daughters was in a bad mood, and she's not like super into Peloton. She's very athletic. But I said to her, I was like, I'm about to work out. Why don't you come work out with me? And we did 3 classes together. And she's like, that totally changed my mood.
Aww.
So I think really looking at, it was so much fun to work out with her, but I think looking at what are the workouts that change your mood the most? What gives you the most endorphins? What gives you the best mood change? Who are the instructors who you really connect to that can be those people who you really look at when you're like, okay, I'm really feeling moody, I'm really feeling down. They have a whole series right now of kind of mood runs, walks, and classes that are happy classes, confident classes, sad classes that can help you get in touch with sort of what you're really in the mood for. Kendall has some great mental health rides that are really terrific and very inspiring. And also just to look at like, who is it that really lifts you up? I know like for me lately, since Robin has been back from maternity leave, I've been very into Robin because she's so inspiring and she's so cool. And I love that she's come back so beautifully from being out for maternity leave. I find that really inspiring. But I think that that's a key thing. Obviously, you want to talk to your doctor about like weight-bearing exercises and bones and all that sort of stuff. But I also do think that there is a level of acceptance that we have to have about our changing bodies. That as long as we are doing healthy things, as long as we are working out, we're feeding our body the food that it needs and also allowing ourselves to have some fun foods that allow us to really relax and enjoy food and not just be quote unquote like perfect eaters, which I think is not good for our psyche necessarily. I think that we also have to kind of accept that our bodies are going to change and that needs to be okay to some degree, that we need to really work on embracing, hey, this body has gotten me this far. It's done some amazing things. I know that there are times where like I look at my C-section scar and I just go, how amazing that I carried 2 babies in me, twins, by the way, and they're these beautiful, amazing human beings, and that I have run a marathon and that I have done all these amazing things with this body. It may have some dimples in the wrong places and may not be exactly what I wish it was, but it's beautiful and it serves me and I'm grateful.
I think we could all say that a little more to ourselves.
See, I have the advantage that I didn't start working out till I was 50. So mine is getting better.
That's a great point. You joke, but I do think it's really cool that you can look in the mirror and say, okay, at 50, I started on this incredible journey and my body is changing. And look, my dad is in his early 80s and my dad and Eric work out on tonal and my dad's biceps are amazing, like from working out. So it's like, I think that we have to really give our bodies more credit. And I think we also have to really look at when are we being hypercritical? When are we comparing ourselves to airbrushed Instagram models and, magazine models, which is just not realistic. I mean, I remember a quote, I think it was like Cindy Crawford or one of those 80s models who was like, even I don't look like Cindy Crawford and I am Cindy Crawford. Everyone is airbrushed and, we need to put that in perspective for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And, I want to circle back to something you said just to point out to people, every time you're on here, I start with kind of rattling off your credentials so people understand that you're worth listening to. And I think you just said something that proves you're worth listening to more than any of those credentials, which is you gave advice to your teenage child and then they
listened.
Did it. What?
I know, because your daughters are the same age my daughter is. And if I say that to my daughter, she's like, I'm good, Mom.
Yeah, what sort of witchcraft are you doing?
It's funny. A lot of people have been trying to get me to write a book about parenting teens because I actually have teenagers who love to spend time with me and I love to spend time with them and we hang out a lot. Aww. So I do have some magic witchcraft up my sleeve.
Oh, I am very jealous of that. Yeah. Enjoy every moment.
I really am.
I look forward to tweaking the intro to saying 5 best-selling books.
That's right.
Me too. Once I find the energy to write that next one.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, where can people find you?
You can find me in Style Magazine Hump Day with Dr. Jenn every Wednesday. I have a new column that comes out. Also on Instagram, all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, the works, at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jenn, 2 N's on Man.
Awesome.
New instructors.
We have more new instructors.
We do. So it's really cool because all 3 tread instructors were announced last week. They're all doing their premier live runs this week.
Awesome.
So we're starting with Kristen Ferguson. She had her premiere run on Monday night. I have heard so many amazing things. Her energy was fabulous. She was just amazing. And not only is she our newest running instructor, she is a proud mom of 2. And, we don't have a lot of instructors that are moms. We have a few.
Right.
We have a few, but it's really cool to have a brand new one already have kids. So I think that's really neat.
And then we also have Daniel McKenna.
His premiere run was this Tuesday. And I have heard, again, nothing but amazing things. He has a great energy is what I'm hearing. He's really funny. And he has an amazing Irish accent, which all the ladies are very excited about. He is originally from Ireland. So that's why he has the Irish accent.
That would be weird if he wasn't.
I mean, there are people, unfortunately, that do that. But no, this is a real accent. And he talks about in his video that we're showing right now that he was born in Ireland and they came from not a lot of means. And so he's worked very hard to make it where he is. And so I think that's pretty cool. We also don't, there's not a lot of instructors that talk about humble beginnings. Maybe they have them, but they haven't talked about them. So I think that's pretty cool and unique as well. So if you haven't had a chance to take that, I recommend it. And if you want to follow him on Instagram, it's the Irish_Yank.
And then there's a third instructor who we don't have video for yet because it hasn't come out as of this recording.
That is correct. And Marcel Dinkins is the third instructor, and she is doing her premiere run tonight. So it's Wednesday, September 1st. And I am very excited to see hers as well. I think this is a really fun trio of instructors. I like that they are very different from the instructors that we have on the tread now.
Yeah.
I like that there's a lot of energy, and I like that there's 2 women. And so I'm excited about this. I am planning to take all 3 of these runs tomorrow morning, back to back to back, because they're each 20 minutes.
Okay.
And so I thought that would be a good way. I wanted to do them all this week, but I was doing my tonal because I'm back on tonal, and I had to get my strength in. So now I'm going to get my cardio in tomorrow. So 60 minutes starting off the day.
Awesome.
Very excited.
Instructors in the news.
Peloton released a video this week of Peloton instructors surprising Peloton members.
Yeah, so this is pretty fun. Apparently, Peloton invited several members to come in to the studio and do a video to the instructors thanking them for being awesome. And then, unbeknownst to these members, the instructors were there and they came out to surprise them and meet them. And the video is heartwarming. I mean, I was fully prepared for how sweet it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I already know it's going to be really sweet. So I'm not going to cry. And I still ended up in tears by the end. I still ended up in tears. I just seeing people meet the instructors that just mean so much to them. And especially in this year of the pandemic where we haven't been able to go to the studio, we haven't been able to see the instructors that mean so much to us in person. This is just amazing and heartwarming. And it's really cool. You can see that it's COVID times.
Yeah, because you're am I allowed to
hug you?
Approach you? What are the rules?
And they all kind of stay away. But it's just the coolest. And this last one was my favorite, Dr. G, and seeing her meet Dr. Chelsea Jackson Roberts for the first time. It gets me every time I watch this. I'm getting goosebumps again. Because they both just have such warm lights within them, and you can just see how sincere they both are. It's just, gets me every time.
I like how they were shown from both angles at once.
Yes.
That was well done.
Very cool. I love that Peloton did that, and I love that they shared it so that we could all see it.
A few weeks back, we announced that Christine D'Ercole was got engaged, and so now she's trying on wedding dresses. Don't worry, these are not the ones she selected.
Yeah,
so we're not ruining anything for the groom.
Well, I would hope not, because she put it on social media.
Right.
So
if it was, it's her own fault.
Yeah.
It's not like we're following her around with a telephoto lens. We're not above it. We just don't have that kind of budget.
No, but she tried on these. She said these were like half of them, and she talked about what she liked and didn't like about each one. Also, she's kind of crowdsourcing this. She's like, you guys tell me what you like on each one. She's wanting to know people's opinions on them. So if you haven't seen it, you can go to her Facebook, her Peloton Facebook, which is Christine D'Ercole dash Peloton, and find the post, and you can then vote on your favorite details in each dress. So I thought it was funny. Even John Mills voted. I'm just going to say. Like, everybody is out there voting. I love it.
And then a sad, sweet, touching story about one of the Marines who died in the attack in Afghanistan with the suicide bomber. Kendall wrote a very nice post about her.
She did, yeah. So it was Nicole G. That was the Marine in question, and she was also a Peloton member. And so I guess that Kendall did not know Nicole, like they never met. But I guess some people reached out to Kendall and said that, you know, Nicole was following her on Instagram, and she had tagged Kendall in 3 stories this past winter, and it just meant so much to Kendall that like this woman was out there, and she feels like kind of bad that they didn't connect.
Right.
But she also did this wonderful tribute to her and to her family. And the lesson that she left was, you never know who you touch, connect with, or make an impact on. I feel grateful that I may have made a slight impact on you, Nicole, but know your impact on my life will be forever far greater. Your spirit will never be knocked out. Thank you. Whew.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
On a significantly lighter note, InStyle magazine featured Chelsea Jackson Roberts and sharing her 5 favorite stretching yoga poses.
Yeah. So if you check out InStyle, or if you get our newsletter, you'll be able to get all of these articles. Just a reminder. There's actually Chelsea explaining each of the different moves, and there's like an image of her doing them, and she explains how to do them and why you should do them. More importantly, why you should do them. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a little GIF there, or if you're weird, a GIF. Staking out that. I'm not scared to take on the hot topics. It's GIF.
It is GIF.
So we talked last week about how Sonos was doing stuff with Emma Lovewell, where she had a playlist for a national park.
Yes. And there were a bunch of people doing the national park playlists.
Right. And now Pop Sugar writes about another Emma Lovewell crafted playlist for Sonos.
Yes.
And this one for an ab workout.
Yeah. And specifically what this article is about is how to create the perfect workout playlist, which is why I included it, because so many people ask why, or how rather, instructors come up with the playlist they do. Mm-hmm. So I thought this would be another good way to share with people. But yes, there is also a 10-minute core workout. But this article will tell you exactly why she picked the classes, or why exactly she picked the songs she did for that national park playlist. So if you were curious, you can find out by reading that Pop Sugar article.
Peloton gets a quick mention in the New York Post. They had an article about people trying to lose pandemic weight before they have to return to the office, and they spotlit 3 different people who had gone through that moment, and one of them was Terry Lynn Brumfield from Texas.
Yes.
And she talks about how she did it with the help of Jess Sims and Allie Love and Cody Rigsby. I also think it's interesting that that's one sentence in this article, and the URL of this article is nypost.com date and then Peloton-fasting.
Yeah, because everybody knows Peloton gets the clicks.
U.S. Open star Sloane Stevens talking about mental health, and Tunde gets a mention in there.
She does, yeah. And it's just a quick mention, but it's really cool to see people, any kind of athletes, mentioning Peloton instructors. It's just, we've come such a long way from when nobody knew who Peloton was to people who are starring. I don't know what other word to use other than starring. They're in the U.S. Open, and they're like, hey, Tunde keeps me on track mental health wise. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And it's not like Tunde's an instructor that's been there for the entire run, right?
No.
It's just been a little over a year since a year and a half-ish since she debuted, and that she's already just gets name dropped to Marie Claire like she's been famous forever.
Yes. So funny. Crazy times.
Joining us today once again via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Angelo from MetPro. Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back.
Well, thanks for joining us again. We have another question for you. So we always put you to work when you show up.
Let's do it.
This one comes from Dina Silver Polkadoff. She would like to know, she says she's looking for ideas on how to carb up for a triathlon. But here's the kicker. Here's the trick question. She doesn't eat white flour or wheat flour or rice flour.
Or
Go.
carbs.
Or food. No. Actually, Dina, that's a pretty straightforward one. That's an easy one. Except for, I always say it depends. So instead of saying depends, I'll say this isn't the only answer. But here's kind of my first reaction to that. Potatoes and bananas.
Oh. Okay.
It works really easy. Now, here's the trick. So if you prefer, I'm guessing you probably, because you're avoiding the wheats, you're probably used to maybe eating some sweet potato or yam. And so the challenge there is can be getting enough volume. So the trick is mashed sweet potato, and you can actually get a little bit more volume, taking off the skin. It takes, of course, out a little bit of the fiber, which isn't going to be a bad thing in this case. But I find that it's a little easier to eat, and it's still voluminous enough to where you're not going to want to try and do this in one meal, Dina. You're going to want to spread it out over the day, a day or two before, depending on how you like to carb load before your events. But I think that would be a great option. And in between, add an extra banana or two for a day or two before. And that's a really simple way of getting extra carbs. Now, in the bodybuilding world, when I'm doing a carb increase for some of my clients, we'll actually use white potato. Now, there's some caveats. It is a little higher glycemic, but in this case, that's not always a bad thing. But you have to see if your body tolerates it. So you never want to experiment. Even a healthy food, you don't want to experiment race day. So what you want to do is before, you want to try these things out, and you could try either sweet potato, yam, white potato, and most people tell me they do pretty well with banana, especially if they have a gluten intolerance, they're staying away from flours and wheats, things like that. So there's a couple things you could try adding into your normal routine.
Can she add butter to any of these? Because you
Lather on the butter. Just no. So,
I was like, really? You had me. You said that so seriously. I thought we got to add butter, and I was going to go do like some kind of triathlon just so I could have a sweet potato.
We just take out the no in editing.
It's all in the editing. So here's the catch with that. So if you're just increasing gradually over a few days your carbohydrate intake, as long as you're keeping your fats in check and within reason, I don't want you to clog your arteries all in one sitting. Don't cut off 2 sticks of butter. But no, that's not the end of the world. Typically, with race day in mind, what you want is as much of the available carbohydrates to be basically used as energy, which means increasing the digestive time, not slowing it down. When you add fat to a meal, that's going to slow down the digestion rate and how quickly your body utilizes that. That's actually usually a good thing when we want to look at steady energy. Balanced meals include a little bit of fats. Now, typically my go-to fats are going to be the healthy oils and avocados and things like that. But no, it would not be the end of the world. Of course, degree is the key. Moderation. If there's a little bit of butter here and there mixed in to make some mashed sweet potatoes or something like that, especially the day before or a couple days before the race.
So does it make a difference if it's butter versus margarine?
Oh, man. People are going to get out their pitchforks and knives if I give the wrong answer. You can actually use either. And for the purposes of answering that question, they're both going to act similarly. Okay. I'll leave it up to you guys to debate which one's the healthier one.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay. Got
awesome.
It. All right.
So you just added a potato for what you have me doing.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to, which I thought was just racial profiling because I'm Irish. And, but now I'm relieved to hear that you recommend it to other people. I was a little worried. But, so when you were saying about the skin, was I supposed to eat the skin?
You can eat the skin.
That's
like
gross.
The best
Do I have
part
to?
Of the baked, but no.
Everyone eats the bacon. Not everyone. It's not crazy to eat the skin of the potato, Tom. We've been over this.
I don't want to eat the skin of the potato.
Okay, well,
I'm not a billy goat.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I eat the potato part of the potato. I love Cheetos. I don't eat the package.
That might not know. Tom is a little particular about it.
A smidge.
A little bit.
Yeah. That's why I'm with Crystal.
Aw.
See?
I like how you turn that around.
That's what I do.
That's good.
Good save.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, where can people find you?
metpro.co/TCO.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
The Clip Out.
Nuts.com is the best kept secret of savvy snackers across the country.
It sure is. And I'll tell you why. It's because it's not just nuts at nuts.com. You can get anything. Not anything, but you can get a lot. You can get things like pantry items like baking mixes, pasta, and more. And my favorite thing are the bourbon pecans. Those are to die for. They also have tons of things like white chocolate, toffee cashews, and another thing that is in my very, very top 3, chocolate covered coffee beans. Those are amazing.
It merges your 2 favorite things.
Chocolate and coffee. Oh my God.
It's the simple and convenient way to have nutritious, delicious, healthy nuts, dried fruit, flours, grains, and so many other high quality foods delivered straight to your door.
You can choose from over 4,000 products, and they're healthy kid family snacks like strawberries and custom trail mix also available.
Plus the all raw, organic, roasted, salted, and candied nuts you can imagine.
Easy to navigate website with great photos of the products, and it's a family-run business that takes pride in getting you the freshest items.
Nuts.com is your one-stop online pantry shop.
Delivery is fast, and most orders ship the same day.
New Nuts.com customers get free shipping on your first order when you text TCO to 64,000.
So text TCO to 64,000 to get free shipping on your first order from Nuts.com. That's TCO to 64,000.
Terms apply. Available at nuts.com/terms.
Peloton in the news.
So they announced that there will be no live classes in England from September 4th through September 13th.
Yeah, and it's funny because on our Zoom call the other night, Danielle Verwey was on the call, and she was predicting during that Zoom call, we were talking about where all the instructors were in the world,
right,
that because Robin had been in the UK recently, she felt that they were very close to opening up the UK studio, the long-term one. So way back, for people who are new to Peloton, way back before the pandemic, Peloton was getting ready to take the small studio that they opened and open the large long-term studio in the UK. Well, then the pandemic happened and everything shut down, so they were unable to open the studio as planned. So fast forward to now, we think it's going to happen between 9/4 and 9/13, or shortly thereafter. Maybe they're doing like all the opening activities 9/4 to 9/13, but it's coming soon.
Awesome. And then Shape.com writes about Peloton and their continued anti-racism initiative.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into the initiative itself. I just really thought it was cool that Shape.com did an entire feature on it. We talked about this a couple of times, and we talked about it recently. It was the 1 year since the initiative dropped. And if you go to One Peloton Pledge, you can read the entire pledge. But Peloton has done so many things since they started this, and this article talks through all of that, and it also talks through the series that Chelsea Jackson Roberts and Tunde did together, and I think that it's just really cool that this entire thing got highlighted.
Also, there are now subtitles available for live classes.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this last week, but it's been rolling out on bikes for a couple of weeks. And so subtitles have been available for a while now on classes that you take that are on demand. But now they're on live classes, although I'm curious to see how long this is going to last or if somebody gets in trouble, because kid you not, during a live class the other day, it said, "Are you horny?" in the subtitles.
Were you?
And that is not, I'm not answering that. That is not what the instructor said at all.
I'm going to have to say not answering that, kind of an answer.
Moving on.
Now I've embarrassed you.
Yes.
But I would think typing that up on the fly in real time has to be
I don't think they are typing it up.
You think it's just all speech to text?
Oh, yeah. That's totally speech to text.
Gotcha.
There's no way they have time. It's instant.
Okay, that makes sense. I guess because in my head, because it's been around for years, way before speech to text was really a thing. I just always pictured somebody sitting there trying to keep up. But I guess, in today's world, they don't need to do that anymore.
No.
But you will have horny moments like...
You sure will.
The aforementioned one. What were they trying to say? Do you know?
have no idea. I was just like, what? I don't know what the instructor said because that didn't stick in my mind, but "Are you horny?" sure did.
That came out last week that Peloton has been subpoenaed by the DOJ, and I still cannot figure out this one, the Department of Homeland Security.
I have no idea. A lot of people have asked that. What's up with the Homeland Security? I don't know the answer to that. I have no idea if that's a misprint or if it is really the Homeland Security.
It says it in tons of articles.
I know, but honestly, these days that means nothing because people just pull from another article. But,
totally.
But even if it is true, what on earth could that have to do with any of this?
Yeah.
Because it's about the treadmill injuries. So, what does Homeland Security have to do with that?
The only thing I could think is Homeland Security also deals with cybersecurity. And so but nobody's really mentioned any of that. I don't get what that has to do with the treadmill injuries. It seems like that would be a whole different thing. So I mystified.
I don't know. I mean, I think we all can agree that the government has a whole lot of weird bureaucracy.
Yes.
And so it's probably something none of us can fathom because it makes no logical sense.
That's fair.
But at any rate, we don't really know anything about this. Peloton just kind of quietly put out there that we've been subpoenaed and that's it. We don't know anything else about it. Why?
Yeah.
What's going to happen next, what it looks like. Yikes.
So watch this space.
In case you missed it.
And then finally, a while back, we talked about how there was a Peloton account that claimed to be the Washington Post. And there was much debate about whether or not it was real. And it was real. And now we know finally who was running it.
Yeah. So you'll need to scroll down because I can't remember the details. But I do remember that it was a guy that worked there. And he announced the other day that he was leaving. And as soon as he left, then this person was able to find out finally who it was. So it was, what is this guy's name? Ryan Kellett. So it was the Post most senior director of audience. And so, and after this article was written, she did have an update.
I think it's a he.
The author is a she,
the
though.
Author. Okay.
Sorry. The author then verified that I did verify with Kellett himself. Yes, it was him. And so that happened. And apparently the article says, I can't explain the secrecy around any of this. I have no idea.
It sounds like this guy runs their other stuff. He ran their TikTok and stuff like that. So I don't know why they didn't want to tell people, but so I guess now that account has been handed off to somebody else, I guess now to run that department you have to be a Peloton user.
I don't know. It will be interesting because when I posted this, and the first time we talked about it too, I had so many people reach out to me and tell me that they had gotten high fives from this account. I mean, it is a well-known account that high fives. I mean, not as bad as some people who spam and follow you from ride to ride and won't leave you alone. But at any rate, that mystery solved. And I love how fun they were with it. They were like, I have been ridiculously obsessed with this for months, preoccupied. And the tagline said, the dumbest mystery has been solved.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Natalie Oven. Hey, Natalie, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? You sound exactly the same that way as I hear in the podcast.
Should I try and do it different just to, join us today via the magic of ZoomTube. The filter takes out the accent. We don't know what happens.
If you're out there and you're not watching YouTube, you need to watch because Natalie is laughing so hard and she's adorable. So I know you already know this, Natalie, but I'm gonna change up our interview today. Normally, I always start with like my certain questions that I do, but we're gonna go down a different road because you have a different kind of story. So I want you to kind of start with like a little bit of your career and like why you made a change because of health reasons. Like, kind of lead us through all of that. Your story is really interesting.
Sure. Well, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 16. Oh, wow. So I knew that I had to, throughout my life, that I was going to have to take things carefully, I guess I would say. It is affected by stress, and specifically how like you handle stress, as well as like diet, exercise, and things like that. I mean, it's not a cure or anything for Crohn's, but it certainly is just something you have to look out for. I knew that going into the whole, like, I'm going to be a lawyer thing, but it was...
I guess it's kind of a stressful career, isn't it?
Yeah. But it was like, I didn't really know what else to do because I'm like really bad at math. And I just read and write and argue. And so like...
I should have been a lawyer. Now I know. I missed my window.
Like, and what kind of attorney? Like, what were you specializing in?
So I chose to be a prosecutor. And that was like my lifelong dream since I was like, I wouldn't say lifelong, I guess 12 was when I knew it. And then I just went straight from law school to the assistant state attorney's office. Wow. And pretty quickly, like my goal was to prosecute homicide cases. But pretty quickly I went from being a like misdemeanor, then you do felony cases, and then they put you into like a specialized unit if you don't want to stay in felony anymore. So I ended up doing crimes against children, not doing the crimes.
Well, sure, yeah. Thanks for clarification. We were going to get letters.
Not doing the crimes, but handling those cases. And then at some point, I guess like after so many trials, the stress really did start to get to me. But there was one day I felt like a flutter, saw like a side weird thing with my eyes. So a friend had told me she had like a retina tear and said, oh, you better check that out because, that's not good. So I immediately went to an eye doctor, and he was very insensitive in the way he gave me my diagnosis, but he was like, well, there's no retina tear, but that tumor right there is kind of strange. And I'm like, what tumor? He's like, well, you know about the tumor, right? Like, there's a tumor.
Like a way to bury the lead.
Yeah. Jeez.
And I was like, huh? And he's like, you don't even need to be dilated. I could see a tumor. And I'm like, and he was like talking very like matter of factly, kind of like didn't realize he was unloading like a bomb.
Right.
Yeah. And that's how I found out.
Oh my gosh.
So,
but like it was, I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was a very specific thing.
Yes. So the condition's called IIH. It's called idiopathic intracranial hypertension. So like even your brain is stressed, I guess, is the way that the diagnosis is. It's also called like the scientific name is pseudotumor cerebri.
Like, wait, that wasn't the scientific name? Like that's
no.
That's just its walking around name? Like got that name in college at a party? Like what?
Yeah. The first one was like the slang. It was like IIH,
That's its fun name.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's crazy. It is a crazy diagnosis because it's like a fake tumor. So it's like,
but it wasn't fake. It was there. So what does that even mean?
Yeah. Because it still sounds like it does all the tumor things. So like, what's the difference between a fake one and a real one?
Does that mean it's not cancerous?
Correct.
Okay. Well, they ought to say that. Like the tumor is still there.
Yeah, they need to lead with the non-cancerous part too. Like that's like everything about this. Like Like IIH needs a publicist or something. Like this is. I'm not trying to make fun of your situation. It's just.
Please do.
Please do. It's weird about how it's named and what they call it and what they. Okay, so I'll try to not be a jerk. Try it. It's a big ask. So what exactly does it do compared to like a quote unquote regular tumor?
It presents almost exactly the same.
Okay.
So some people get like horrible migraines, like not functioning, lots of vertigo. It's just like a bunch of pressure that just kind of like builds up, from my understanding. So I'm not the doctor. I'm just kind of like the patient. Some people, it's so bad that the only choice they have is to like get operated on.
What?
Yeah. So, and they don't exactly remove it, but they put like a piece in it that like makes the fluid pump better.
Oh my gosh.
So it's just a very strange disease, but I have more to talk to you about that.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically it's not very well, like it's not around a lot. It's about 1 in 100,000 people end up getting diagnosed with it. But it typically only happens to fat. So, and this is the way it was phrased to me, fat or overweight females in their childbearing years. So,
whoa.
Your doctor sounds like a real charmer.
Yeah. Is this all the same guy? Because I hope you never went back to him again.
Are you, well, and hang on, maybe she should stick with him. Is he Dr. House? Because
that's the only doctor that we would let get away with that.
Yes, because that's what he sounds like at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like all who it affects typically. So they do notice like a change, like if you lose weight, there is like drastic reduction in the pressure that's behind your eyes, and they don't know how or why.
What?
They do. Yeah. So it was kind of like I remember sitting there going like, well, I'm not the fattest girl in the world. Not that like, I try to have a very body positive like lifestyle, but because like there's been a time when the Crohn's was really bad where I couldn't put on weight. So, I try to be more balanced, I guess, as far as like how I feel about weight. But the doctor was like, it only happens to fat women. And I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my God. I bet you were feeling great.
Yeah. You're like, thanks, Doc. I thought the tumor was going to be the thing that made me feel the shittiest today. But
you're on a real roll, though.
But you really kicked that down a notch or two on the old feeling shitty list. So
yeah,
thanks.
And then the medicine they prescribe you is actually a diuretic, which is like, that's what they give. Yeah. So it's very strange. They give it to people specifically like in the military who are dealing with altitude sickness. And that's sort of what they give. That's what they give us. So I ended up leaving that particular doctor and going to Mayo Clinic.
Okay, I feel like that was a good choice.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever your doctor is, the Mayo Clinic is a good choice.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
But in this case, like doubly absolutely. Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
You like Dr. Nick on The Simpsons sounds like you would have been a better choice.
Well, I remember saying like I could take things pretty harshly, like I could suck it up, like because that's just I'm used to having kind of a harder exterior. But when it comes to your health, I don't know. You don't really have a hard exterior. Like I don't.
Well, yeah. Like, it's nothing you could control. Like none of the like something attacked your body, which already feels pretty crappy. Like you feel, I don't know. I haven't had that happen. I'm like putting myself in that situation. I would think that like you feel like your body is betraying you. And then like to get like, oh, and by the way, hey, fatty, like, oh my God, like that's just awful. Ugh.
And I just remember saying, I'm not the fattest person in the world. And the doctor goes, indeed. And I'm like,
what? He's like, normally this happens to like 6s. 5, 6s, like that's, so once you get to like 7, 8, like then you're probably okay. Like what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
He sounds like he's not the most socially like in tune kind of guy.
Yeah. So that was the initial experience.
Yeah.
So I went on like a crazy diet, like crazy, like the kind where you like eat only 500 calories a day of protein.
But now was this because the doctor said to do that? Or was this because you were like having a reaction? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like a real doctor told you to do this, not this guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
just to have like a baseline,
Okay.
and then to
Okay.
see if weight loss, like drastic weight loss, will affect it.
Okay.
And it did. It actually did affect it in a good way. Like, I know. So I don't know, like, they don't know how it's connected to it. They don't understand it, but they know it is. So I can tell you, going through all that did make it really hard to sustain a career as a prosecutor. It did.
Sure.
And maybe other people, other kinds of lawyers can like check out at the end of the day. But I guess in the line of work I was doing I couldn't check out. So it was like, I need to take a step back and just kind of maybe make lawyering like part of my life, not like all of my life, which it really was. And like focus on health, focus on like what I love to do, like other things. Like,
I'm interrupting and I apologize for that. But I feel like when you're saying that, you almost sound apologetic. And I just want to say that as a person who is too hard on myself, I feel like you're being too hard on yourself. Like you can't compare how you are to somebody else because nobody else is going through what you're going through.
And that type of law the stakes are got to feel so high.
That's so much pressure on your back, like to get it right. And like, I mean, I personally appreciate that you cared as a prosecutor because sometimes you see instances where people aren't, I don't want to be mean, but they're not necessarily checking everything to the degree that they should be and caring as much about what the end result is. So personally, from my standpoint, I appreciate that you were that kind of person and that it bothered you, you know? I mean, I think that's the best kind of prosecutor. So to me, that was a good thing that you were that into.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It did take a while. Like actually I could say it was depressing. Like, and I think I wrote that when I like told you, I think I went through depression right after. I don't know if it's because I identified so much as a lawyer, and I don't know what is wrong with lawyers, but we do that.
Yeah,
like
I think a lot of people do that, especially in certain professions. But I'm sure a doctor or an attorney, like that's their identity, right?
You spend so much time becoming an attorney, and you had this goal, and you worked toward it, and you achieved it, and then to have to take a step back. It's like you question everything. I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't feel that way. Yeah. I guess is what I'm saying. I really don't.
Yes. And that is exactly what it was. It was like, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Like, I can't. And then you kind of blame yourself. And I'm only sharing this really because I think that like other people, they have this thing where they won't leave a crappy job or like a job that's not working out for them anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that now because like truly my body was like, you have to leave or you will die. I mean, like, this is killing you. But there are people who like get hives before they go to work or suffer panic attacks, and they still do this job. And I don't understand for what, really, because like, especially after 2020, it should have really taught us, like, you don't have to do a darn thing you don't want to do anymore as far as career wise. Like, if it's not aligning with purpose and your goals and your values anymore, or if it's just taking too much out of you, don't do it. Like, we have a very short life to live. So.
We do. And I think a lot of people are changing jobs right now. Having said that, I think just because I'm sure somebody's going to say something about it. I think that there are also a lot of people out there who find themselves in situations it's not easy to transition to something else, like, and maybe they don't know how, like maybe they don't have the skills. And
it's also the devil, right? You're just like, like, well, but I know what it's like here. Right. What if I go somewhere and it's worse, and maybe it's less money, or the hours aren't as good, or whatever. Like, so there's, there is a lot of, just kind of momentum.
Yeah.
There is. But I do think 2020 just made people go, not another day.
Yeah.
I agree. A lot of people came out of feeling like that. I mean, people are changing jobs left and right.
Yeah.
But you mentioned to me that like people were not very supportive of you in that career. Yeah. Like when you brought this up and said, hey, this is going on, it wasn't like they rallied around you.
Yeah, no, I got like, and I don't want to overly reveal too much, but I got, and I don't want to curse, but this is like, I'm Irish, like half Irish. So
You're
I do
fine.
So it was kind of like I don't want to give too much of a pause, but like
reprimanded?
Yeah.
Chastised?
Yes. And it was at a time where I'm on these like mind altering meds. I was pretty open about it, like, and what was happening. And I just remember going, what the heck, now you're going to do this? Like, after all these years and all that. And I remember saying, like, I feel like I told you I wasn't doing well. Like, maybe you could have moved me, like, when I got diagnosed, like to an easier type position where it's like more just writing or something like that.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was kind of a setup to eventually lay me off for like reasons, just because I was sick. And like, I think employers, like, they're not allowed to do that, obviously. Yeah. But
so they try to craft these other reasons.
Yeah. Yes. Like, I know legally what's allowed and what's not, but I feel like that was like the groundwork.
You're right.
And then once I came back from Mayo Clinic, and then I was like put in a position where it was a lot of writing because that is what I asked for. But there was like all these people that I like covered their cases for them. Like, they didn't even reach out while I was at the Mayo Clinic. They didn't show up at my office to be like, welcome back. We're so happy everything's okay. Like, nothing.
Yeah.
There were like days on end where like I went to my office and like no one would come in, and lunch would be like, nobody would try to do lunch, even in the break room or anything. And then I would leave. And I would talk to nobody.
Wow.
Like,
that's
no one.
Persona non grata.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking.
It was really hard for me because it's like worse if you're working at home and you're alone. It's like, that's okay.
Right.
It's like that's how it's supposed to be, I guess. But like when you're in an office with like 90, 100 other coworkers about your age, all like trying cases and doing things, like, kind of sad.
There's a difference between being alone and being ostracized.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be like, woe is me, because maybe like I went inside a lot during that time of sickness. So it could be because I wasn't available to other people either anymore.
I mean that and maybe a combination, and sometimes people don't know what to say. Sometimes it's like, I worked with somebody and, her son died, her teenage son died. And I felt really awful for her, but I didn't know what to say because I felt like saying anything brought it up. And that's hard, and she had lost a son and I had lost a sister around the same age. And so I felt like, oh, I know what my parents went through when they lost my sister. I felt so like I wanted to do something for her, but I had no idea what to do. And it's not like we were close, so I just said nothing. And I mean, I don't know that that's how people felt about what you were going through. I'm sure there was a sense that you got. So you were there. You were the one living it. But maybe it's some kind of combination thereof,
It probably was. I just knew like, yeah. And then, so shortly after that, here comes back Crohn's. So I came back from Mayo Clinic in January, and then in May, Crohn's came rallying back. So like, as things were going well and I started feeling better again, then part of my small intestine had to come out. So, so it was at that point where I'm like, you know what? It is time to quit. I've never quit a job before unless I was like going to college or something. Never quit. Like, I quit. I was like, done. Like, no notice, no nothing. I just was like, it's time to go. I was like, I'm happy to give you my 2 weeks notice, but I'm going to be like recovering from surgery.
Right.
It. So I really don't know what to tell you. So it took a lot of courage.
Yeah.
So I guess to any of your listeners, like, should I quit or whatever? I empathize, I guess, with them as far as like how much inner turmoil you go through with like changing careers or like just quitting a job that you thought you were supposed to love, because this really was a lifetime goal for me. Like, this is
absolutely
my dream.
Yeah, you don't become a lawyer by accident.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's you got to set out to do that,
and you work hard.
Yeah.
You work hard to do it. So did you have insurance somehow, another way for you to be able to still have your surgery? Like, not to get too in the weeds, but Again, I'm kind of anticipating what somebody's going to ask. You're going to get these. You're going to get DMs about this.
I have a very supportive husband who is a federal government employee. So he has great insurance. So I'm very thankful that I actually blessed to have that ability to be able to do that and just focus on health for a little bit. So he was very supportive. I mean, there were days where I don't know, between being just the job and the surgery and all that stuff, I would just cry into my dog's legs, and it's like she knew when the time comes for mommy to cry, because she would just give me her legs on the couch and I would just cry on top of her. And it was so pitiful. I was a sorry state, but between the dog and my husband, I think that was the cure for all that was ailing me.
Wow. So when you had your small intestine, a portion of that removed, did it take a while for you to recover from that, or?
Yes. So after I lost the weight, to get the brain tumor going, now I could barely walk anymore. So they all, part of the fun thing is they gave me this attachment, which is so gross. I hate to talk about it, but and there's a cat. Sorry.
Hi, kitty.
We have no need for you, cat. You weren't there for her to cry on. So away with you.
She wasn't.
I think she just showed her ass to you, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah. She likes attention, so I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
So there's this piece that was attached, it's a plastic piece, and I named it Charlie, but it comes out of your stomach, and it's attached by a rubber device, and it collects all the pus and bacteria. And you have to take it off and empty it out every day. And it would fill up. So I was afraid to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I'm I don't want Charlie, people to see Charlie, because that's just nasty. So that took a while. And then it was so weird today that, again, you don't have to post this if it's too gross, but there's the device it stretches all through under. So then the doctor pulls it out and it kind of just feels like you're getting it just was weird because it traveled through the whole stomach.
Like you're a lawnmower and he's starting you.
Yeah. How odd. How odd. Yeah.
So that was weird. So
I
had to get my health back though, because at the time, I'd just gotten back into shape, god darn it, and so I was running, starting to run again, and bicycle a lot. I had finally figured out how to clip in.
Indoor or outdoor at this point?
Outdoor.
Okay.
At this point it was outdoor. Okay. Yeah. I was gosh darn it, I just figured this out. I used to leave my, shoes into the outdoor bike and then somehow try to get in, and I'd stabilize against my car, and I did all this stuff. And now I can't even walk anymore. So
how deflating.
Yeah. And so because of all these health issues, I can tell you COVID was probably, not probably, I would say it got me a little scared.
Sure.
I live in Florida, so I don't want to get, again, overly political, but we are a state that pretty much stayed open the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
We're Missouri,
so we hear you.
Yeah. Same thing.
I grew up in St. Charles. That's funny.
Tom works in St. Charles.
I work for St. Charles County government, so that's my.
Get out of town, really? Yeah, I grew up in St. Charles. That's so nuts. Mid Rivers Mall was my hangout spot when I was.
We know.
Very familiar.
I don't know. My first kiss was at Mid Rivers Mall. That's so funny. During Titanic, I remember.
Oh my God.
Well, it's 3 hours. He had plenty of time to work up his nerve.
That's true. He could make his move very slowly.
Yeah.
Did he do the yawn and drop?
Oh yeah. I was ready. It's time,
That's adorable.
Oh, I'm blushing now. But yeah, so COVID was kind of was I think maybe a little more scary for people with autoimmune issues and things like that, because I definitely didn't want Crohn's to come back again, or any of those other, I usually when I get sick, it affects me like much harder. So like my husband bounces back and I'm like bedridden. So COVID was scary, and I couldn't like go to the gym anymore. I just wasn't willing to do that, even though they were open here. And that's about the time my brother donated his bike to me.
That is so cool. So, and he wasn't using it?
No, he moved from Michigan back down to Florida, and he's like, I bought it for Michigan to deal with like the winter. Gotcha. He was not like, he didn't buy it for him to like, it wasn't his primary.
Yeah.
He mostly does like
bad weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad weather usage. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he, basically was like, I think you might dig this. And I was like, really? Let me try it. And then I got on, and it was like, I was hooked. And done. It was like game on. I'm like, oh, you want like $4,000 for the tread too? Okay, take it. Like game on. We actually changed a whole room in our house. So it was like a master bedroom, and then like a second, like a ensuite or something like that, I guess you call it. But I converted that to the gym because now
nice and close. Just roll out of bed and get a workout in.
Yeah.
It's now like a beautiful, like I even have like cold towel service with like a mini spa refrigerator in there.
That's amazing.
You ain't messing around.
Yeah, you are not.
Yeah.
I love that. Wow.
and I bought even a water like filtration jug thing, so I don't have to go like downstairs to fill up my water bottle. So like I could just like have it right there near the bike.
Now, is it infused with lemons like at the spa? Like, do you have all the fruit?
Do you make the whole room smell like eucalyptus?
I do put essential oils.
That's awesome.
I do. It's mostly because like I don't like the smell of my husband and my sweat combined together. Yeah. Like, no, we gotta fix this. Because here's the fun part. He works out with me, like in the gym, and then like sometimes he'll be like doing push-ups as I'm on the treadmill and just like staring at me.
But like not in a creepy way, like in a supportive way.
I don't know.
She's like, sometimes.
Sometimes it's creepy. We had to have talks about like workout time. You can't creep me out.
Don't make eye contact during workouts.
Like stop watching me. But, like,
that's funny.
God, you're making me laugh. Oh, he is a character. He's funny. But like before we start, I don't know if you want to post this or not, but his max workout on the bike is 15 minutes. His usual is 5 or 10, and he will go to 99 to 100 output the whole time. And he will just try to like smoke that cool down ride. Like that is like,
I don't get it. I don't get what he's trying to do. I don't understand, but you know what? Peloton can meet you wherever you are. So if he's happy, that is all that matters.
I told him that, and he goes, I just cannot think about being on a bike for 40 minutes. And I'm like, I feel like you can, because like,
well, maybe if you didn't go so hard out of the gate, you could. Slow down, dude.
So like he only rides with Olivia or Kendall, and I'm like,
You should sneak in and filter it so it's all like Dennis Morton and Matt Wilpers. Those are the only rides he sees.
He wouldn't know how to figure it out. He really wouldn't.
That's what we do. And then while he's taking a Matt Wilpers ride, just do push-ups and stare at him. Although he'll probably dig it. So
yeah.
It could
So
backfire,
be careful.
Or it could be amazing.
He's like, this is bonding time. What are you talking about? No, it's not time to bond. I love it. But the fun thing about Olivia, like I like her, but she's not my top. But Michael likes her. because she has this laugh. So she'll be like, I want you to increase your output to 70. And like, I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but she does when she's like really trying to mess with you.
I don't actually ride with Olivia. I will take runs with Olivia, but I don't take rides with Olivia because she changes the cadence and the like resistance a lot. And I don't feel like, I mean, maybe it's better with her Power Zone classes. I haven't taken them, but the way that she makes all the changes, it doesn't allow me to settle into the ride, So I like her runs, but I don't so I've never noticed the laugh, but maybe that's part of
She does it on the runs too. She does it on the runs.
Really?
Now you won't be able to unhear it.
Yeah, I bet that's the case.
Time.
I bet that's the case.
She'll be like, it's time for an 8 incline. No, it's not.
So when did you get the bike and the tread? Where are we talking time frame?
June or May of 2020 was the bike, and then the tread was 60 days later.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a runner.
Yeah.
You were all in, man.
I was in.
Yeah.
I'm like 0% interest. I'm like, hello.
I know exactly how this conversation went too. It was like, okay, so 0% interest, but also since we already got the bike, that's kind of like if we bought the tread, that's like getting like $7,000 worth of equipment for $4,000. So it's really kind of a deal.
She saved him money.
Yeah.
I did.
I know the conversation.
And I was like, well, 2020, we didn't have any races. So that saved a ton of money because I'm in Orlando. So I do Disney races every single one. And those get expensive.
Yeah.
I registered for the Wine and Dine in November. It's $368.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then the hotel and all that stuff. And then you eat out. And so I was like, all the money we saved last year for not doing races, I'm going to put on the treadmill.
So I can do more races. I know. I'm familiar with the talk.
It's wonderful. But the Peloton is I love it so much. I bought all the clothes, and that doesn't help either. So I didn't save money there.
Yeah,
as well.
I hear you.
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Your husband and I should start a support group.
Oh.
Well, he doesn't understand the whole cheetah pant capri obsession. So
I don't think anybody understands that. Why are you paying $400 for a used bra? Why?
I saw one for $600.
No.
$600.
That's crazy.
We have gone into the dark side when that happens, but the bottom's about to come out on that because I'm pretty sure they're about to drop that new one. So
yeah, I saw that picture with Robin and I was like, oh boy, they're bringing back the cheetah print. It's about time. People should be making $600 on a pair of leopard or is it cheetah or leopard? I can't really tell.
I don't know. We'll just say the cat print.
Whatever. So I tried to explain it to him, this is a thing. Peloton clothes sometimes pay for themselves because if you want to resell them ever, you almost retain full value.
And he's like, have you ever sold any? And then you're like, well, no. But
not yet. But let me tell you, I sold a whole bunch of mine.
She did. And she made good money.
I made very, very, very good money because I hadn't sold anything in 4 years, and so I have stuff from 4 years ago, which is really hard to find, and I made good money. I was very happy.
She did.
Did you?
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's what it's for. And he doesn't get the whole collecting the cards. Because I do that too.
Yeah,
so,
of course you do.
Yeah.
Who doesn't do that? Who are the people that don't do that? I do that.
I don't do it.
My husband doesn't get it. So just wait till he sees them because I'm doing a art project of sorts. And they're going to be they're going to be drawn across the gym.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Attached to the ceiling kind of thing. So he'll have to look up and see all the cards.
Put him where he's staring at you.
Yeah.
He's got to
distract him.
Yeah. Stare Alex Toussaint right in the eyes the whole time.
So what has Peloton been like with your from a social support, kind of changing your thought process? What's all that been like?
Yeah, so I can tell you what Peloton did for me was all these instructors. I don't think you could talk, or if anyone were to interview any of them, every single one would say they're living their best life. I'm pretty confident that there's not one of them that was like, could have envisioned that this was going to be their life, but they know for a fact that this is their best life that they are living right now. And that kind of carries through, and it lets you know, or let me know, like, you can live your best life too. Like, you can go do this. Like, Robin quit being a lawyer and never look back. Like, I
absolutely.
Mean, so
it's funny how many lawyers look up to people who stop being lawyers. It says a lot about being a lawyer.
It does.
I know so many lawyers that are just like, oh, and then they just stop being a lawyer. And it's like, I'm like, do you need a moment alone? Like, you're really excited.
Like, it's almost like just celebrity status already. Like, it just stopping being, you stopped?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We can do that? Yeah.
But man, after you put all that time in, like I really get that, because it's that sunk cost thing,
fallacy.
It really is. It's hard to quit, it's hard to, even if like you said earlier, it's hard to quit something even when you know it's going to make you better, because you spent all this time, and gosh darn it, that was supposed to be the dream. So what now?
Right.
What now? And then I was like, oh, how about just like living happy and healthy? Can't that be the dream? Like, and that be just enough? And that really was what Peloton kind of pushed me through. Like, as far as I was told this, and I knew that this was the truth, but something about these instructors, that's how they influenced me, that they let me know that I'm enough, that I don't need those labels, and that just like being the healthiest self and like waking up every day and like taking on the fitness challenge and physically moving your body and getting out of your head a little bit, that's like what life's about. So I think Peloton, that's what it taught me. And I any of those instructors, any of them, like even the ones that I don't typically take, I know for a fact that they would say, you're doing good. Like, you're complete exactly as you are.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that's how I feel about them. I think they're fantastic, all of them. Just like good hiring. That's all I can say. John Foley knows how to hire people. Just wonderful.
So did you like start another career, or are you home? Like, is that your full-time gig?
I ended up just opening my own little practice. So I do still practice law, but it's totally shifted. I typically do a lot of guardian ad litem work. So so people are getting divorced, and the judges in Florida don't want to hear from the child. But sometimes the child has something to say about where they want to live and when and what. So that's typically like my job, is like bonding with the kid and talking to them and doing some investigative work as far as like, is there one parent that like helps with homework? Is there one parent that has no idea what's going on and is just trying to pay like less child support? And, that's pretty much what I do. And I write reports to the court and testify on behalf of the child. So on what I believe is the best interest of the kid, specifically during like a divorce case, which is already like a tough time for people. So you're not seeing their best.
Yeah. But I'm familiar.
Yeah, we've had our own GAL.
I've written more than one check to a GAL.
Yes.
Well, I hope it was a positive experience.
By and large.
Yeah, for the most part, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's great. We always say it like to the kids, we always explained it like, that's your attorney.
Right.
That's your
it's
attorney.
Like mom has a lawyer, dad has a lawyer, and now you have a lawyer. So your interests don't get lost in the shuffle.
That's right.
But while we're in there battling it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And doing what you guys have to do. I mean, that's honestly like, I don't blame either side for, everyone wants their kid. So typically that's why I get hired, is because everyone wants as much time with their child as they can get. So ultimately, that is usually how I tell the kids, like, your parents love you so much that they like want to make sure that, you get to have your say in this. So, and that, they want you to, they even spent the money together to have me come on board. So,
we didn't really spend it together. I wrote all those checks, but
you did.
But I get your larger point.
Sometimes they're 50-50 split. I guess in your case, no.
We could tell you some stories, but I think it's a little different too in Missouri, because in Missouri, when it's like a contentious issue, and there were like things on Tom's ex-wife's her side. She had a drug issue, like that's not like up for debate. That was factual. Yeah. And whenever that occurred, it was like the court was hearing one side of the story from her that sounded very different from Tom's, and so they assigned us one. And so since she didn't have any income, that became Tom's responsibility. Yeah. So.
Gotcha. Yep. That is what that happens here a lot too. Yeah. I do investigate alcoholism, drug issues and stuff like that too. I mean, it's one of those things though. It's hard to tell because people show the best selves to the Guardian.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. No,
we've watched.
Yeah.
So I do try to like see through people and like that's part of the fun, I think, as the Guardian, just seeing where people's intentions are. So I love being a Guardian ad litem. I think, and I don't regret the shift at all. I go to trial. I've been in trial a couple of times, but they've all been Zoom trials. So it's been, I never thought that I would be doing Zoom trials. Yeah. Like, let me tell you. So
and it's a good pivot too, because it's still like using your legal acumen to help children. Yeah. Children specifically, so no, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's a great gig. And I'm like, why didn't I do this before? Like, this is like, so easy compared to like the lifestyle that I had before. I mean, before it was like, I would wake up at 5 a.m, and do the commute and all that stuff and heels in the courthouse. And now with the kids, like it's actually encouraged for me when I meet them. Like I wear like a Disney shirt.
You want to be approachable.
Yeah. I show them my toys. It's in my office. Like I have a lot of like Disney things in there and a lot of Marvel comic characters. So kids seem to like that immediately.
I bet. I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm sure that makes you very approachable. That's awesome. Yeah.
The stickers, they love stickers. Like,
well,
holy cow.
I was also thinking it's got to be interesting because like you finally have a clientele where they're always innocent, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like, because like, when you're an attorney, like whether you're prosecution or defense, there are going to be times when you're on the wrong side, quote unquote. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are going to be, if you're a prosecutor, there are going to be times when that person's innocent and we hope you lose. And there are going to be times where you're a defense where they're guilty and we hope you lose. And here's a situation where your clients, you always want that client to win. Because they're a kid and you just want to end up in the best home life that they can possibly have.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's a great gig. I love it. And it gives you ample time to like do other things. So that's really what Peloton encouraged me to as well. Because 2020 was like rough. A lot of people weren't fighting. So over children at that point, they were really trying to just like come together the best they could. So business wise, I was a little scared. And then another like opportunity came and I started an outdoor adventure company with a friend of mine at the end of early 2021. So it was really awesome. And, Peloton, again, encouraged me with that because I think it was Kendall, one of her mental health rides that like, gosh, what did she say? I wish I could quote it. I should have written it down before this interview. But let me just tell you, there's something she said in one of her mental health rides that was like, oh, yeah, go ahead and just do it. Like, do the thing. So we started it. It's called She Can Adventure. And basically what we do is women specifically tend to have like a fear about going outdoors, specifically like hiking, camping, scared of bears, snakes, specifically in Florida.
Alligators, that would be terrifying.
Gators. And they don't spend a lot of time outside. So we created like a retreat situation where we're together and we have guides and things like that. Last retreat we had orienteering, so they were left with a compass and a map trying to figure out how to get out of the woods.
And someone pays to do that? Why would
that's scary to me.
I'm like, no.
I literally get lost on things I should not get lost.
Yeah.
I just started a job a couple weeks ago and I've driven it obviously a couple weeks worth of times and I literally turned the wrong way when I was leaving. Like how do you even do that? How?
Yeah,
I did.
She does.
We teach you not to do that. That's part of the fun. I'd love to see you at the retreat if you want to come. It's a very good, you're with guides the whole time, but they kind of let you make your mistakes. So that was part of and then of course we have paddleboarding and yoga and hiking and general stuff. But like the orienteering was by far, a lot of reports came back that was like the most positive experience for them. That was well out of their comfort zone. So that was, we started that company. So I love it. I love teaching people who would never think that they're good at that. And then they end up being quite good at it. There was the girl who won the competition, had never orienteered before her whole life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she was fantastic. I don't know. There's something that girl, she's better than me. So,
so she started her own company and now she's your enemy.
Honestly, it'd be my dream if like my brother and her would date. I was like trying the whole time to push my brother on her. But I don't think.
Oh, you're a matchmaker too.
Yet another job opening for her. Never ending.
I was like, I want you in my family. You're so cool.
This could go the full circle. So like they meet at your adventure company.
Yeah.
And then you put them together in your matchmaking company.
Uh-huh.
And then when they get divorced, you can figure out which one gets the kid.
You just gave me like the whole money making scene right there. Like, I win it every time.
You do.
You do. Now that's recession proof right there.
Absolutely. So what is your leaderboard name?
So my leaderboard name is Masta Manifester, MastaManifestor. And my hashtag is Bex Beast because Bex is like my absolute favorite. I have quite a few favorites for different things, but I would say Bex would be the best instructor for me. There's something about her running that it just seems so effortless.
Sure does.
So, and it probably is quite effortless for her.
Mm-hmm.
But the way it translates for me is like when I'm running, I don't feel like I'm running that much because like, I don't know, there's something about like, I don't even hear her breathing. Like, it's just like, you could tell she's running. And then it just kind of goes so smoothly that like on Saturday, I did my first 60-minute run with her and I did it. I mean, it was 60 minutes of running. And I'm like, this has been a long time since I've been able to go like this long, especially on a treadmill. That's not usually like my thing, but like, wow. And it just felt effortless. Like, and she just kind of made it go by. And Kendall, when I really want to get beat up, like, just like, oh, you want to emotionally like go on a roller coaster and like leave questioning, like,
starting a new career. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Kendall will do that to you. So don't listen to Kendall unless you really want to make like life changes. Like, and personality and mood shifts. Like, don't do Kendall if you don't think if you're not ready to transform like a butterfly, you need to just not do Kendall. And Emma Lovewell for her music. I just think I'm a 90s music fan, and I think her 90s rock rides are like my favorite.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they're great. And then, yoga is Aditi. So I do a lot of the platforms in case you can't tell, but you can't forget about yoga as like a supplement to all the craziness that you're doing to your body.
Absolutely.
So Aditi is probably my favorite yoga instructor. I think she's fantastic.
She's wonderful. Yeah. They're all of the instructors you just mentioned are wonderful. I mean, really, all the Peloton instructors are wonderful. We're so lucky to have so many to choose from.
Yeah. And if you can't find one, like based on your personality, like something's wrong because there's just so many. Like you have to find one that you like for heaven's sakes. Like for my husband, it's just purely looks based. So I mean, I don't know. It's totally superficial for him. So.
That's okay too.
Whatever gets him there, yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's on the bike.
It gets him there. Well, you know what's crazy too? I mean, it's not crazy, but like, it's not fair. I work out so much longer and I eat healthier and he looks amazing.
I hear you.
I don't understand.
I hear you.
I don't get it.
It's like men just, I don't know. They're like programmed from a DNA perspective that it's just easier to lose weight and to keep it off. And yeah.
And he eats like meat, like so much meat that it's like, I don't like so much red meat. I'm just like, oh my God. And then he chases it with like Coke.
And?
It sounds like this sounds normal.
That's what everybody eats, right? It's not just what everybody does.
And then he walks around and he looks so great. And I'm like, here I am, like,
part.
and then I'm told like, oh, you're fat and that's why you have a brain tumor. I mean, it's just kind of like, what the heck?
That does seem unfair.
Yeah.
That seems a little off.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. But, I want to take this last few minutes because I know we have a time constraint, but I wanted to say thank you for your podcast as well. I do look forward to it on Fridays. Crystal, I appreciate your laugh. I feel like it's very genuine. I don't tend to hear a lot of laughter in my day-to-day. Like, I really try to bring people around my life that are very like laughy. I would say that laugh easily. It's a very good attribute to have.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that you have that because your laugh is kind of contagious. It even comes across like in the podcast where I'm like, I start cracking up. I honestly wish I could have met your the guy. What is his name? The one that you always have in the first.
Oh, John Mills.
John Mills?
Yeah. How you doing? How you doing?
It's so funny. Oh, he brings energy every week.
Does.
I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
He says, how you doing? I can't even stop. Like, it's just, I appreciate you making like a whole podcast about Peloton. Like, and I'm sure Peloton appreciates it too, but like,
Some days.
Yeah. It depends on what we're saying.
Yeah. Some days less than others, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah. It's such a great program. And they, like, we're so weird, like the Peloton people, like, okay, so Bex, like, for example, we call ourselves flamingos. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know that.
I do, yeah.
We I actually like wear a flamingo necklace.
Oh, look at that.
And I got she liked one of my posts that was connected to the Bex Beast. Aww. And I like started crying. And my husband is like, get control of yourself. What is wrong with you? There's just something special. There's like a magic sauce in Peloton that I just don't know how to describe. Cause like only something like that, like it has to be special to bring like somebody into tears over social media. Like, I don't know. It's just,
I agree with you. There is something special and it's hard to describe. I mean, it's a lot of things, but it's hard to say exactly why it's that way. And I don't know, but whatever it is, I hope it never goes away.
And maybe he'd understand it better if it was one of those instructors he stares at.
Yeah. Maybe if it was Kendall, you would have gotten him.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But and I even like wear flamingo shirts. I have like a flamingo figurine in my office. Like we're getting.
Do you change your profile picture to the flamingo when you ride or when you run?
I did when she was competing for the Olympic marathon trials.
Yes.
And during Pride Month, there was like a flamingo with the Pride colors. So I did change it to the flamingo at that point too. But typically it's just like me smiling. I'm like overly smiling probably.
Well,
but
you're doing Peloton. What do you?
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, I'm running. It's so great. I'm a runner. You know, I feel like even with just the training between all of that, like I'm fully capable. I don't have to have like a formalized training plan that a lot of people do when you're training for like these big races. I just feel like I'm in consistent enough shape where I can do it. So
that's cool.
That's a great place to be.
Yeah, that's really great.
So people don't need to like take it so seriously, especially if you're signing up for these like Disney races and stuff. Like the likelihood that you're going to be like top 5 or whatever is probably not likely. So why don't you just like really have fun with it and get yourself in like good shape and just don't lose that luster? Because I think if you Like if you wake up and you're like, God, I have to do 3 miles today, like that will like lose the joy of the whole like point of doing it. So just like waking up and going, oh, look, Emma's got a 90s rock ride today. That's enough. Like that's fine. You know, I'm going to do that. So anyway, but I really hope that like this help people maybe going through health stuff. I'm sure that there are plenty of people who have gotten COVID who probably don't even feel like back to themselves yet. So I just want to encourage them that getting physical and out of your head a little bit probably will help get through some of these health situations that you're going through. I do encourage people to go seek help, like counseling. I wish I did personally during that time, because crying into your dog is
sweet,
but then your whole house smells like a wet dog.
No, I'm a big fan of talking things out, and I think that if people are struggling, that is good advice to do that. Absolutely. Well,
yeah, don't let your career kill you. Like that's the other thing.
Absolutely, for sure. So. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Before we let you go, remind everybody where they can find you if you would like to be found.
Sure. Okay. So Masta Manifester, and it's MASTA because ER was too long.
Sure.
So go figure. And you can find me at shecanadventure.com. And I did talk to my partner, and if they mention the clip out, if they want to register for the retreat in February, we're going to give them 10% off.
Oh,
so,
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Like, I just would love to see if people would register and come check it out. We do running, hiking, yoga, meditation, orienteering. And we are confirmed orienteering. So if you want to get like dropped off in the woods and like find your way out with a compass, this is your retreat.
More power to you.
That sounds terrifying.
Not my thing.
But that's good. I mean, it's good to go outside your comfort zone.
Totally. I absolutely get what people might want to do it. But me personally, if all I would want is a refund. I'm like,
Tom's like, this is too much work.
I'm getting the sweats just thinking about it.
We all know you don't like to sweat, Tom.
I do
not. You'll never get lost again. It happens, but so you can find me on there. And yeah, I just really this was just to talk about Peloton and how wonderful it is and how much it changed my life and just made everything better.
Awesome.
That's wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Tearing out just thinking about it.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your clearly busy day to join us. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Clip out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
Next week, we have an interview with Michelle Karoulis. She is a doctor who does sports psychology, and it'll be a fascinating conversation.
Awesome. Well, until then, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, The Bike, and of course the Tread at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and be sure and sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling.
And running.
Clip in, set yourself